All right. So just like Mary was saying, my name is Dr. Pat Smith, and it's my pleasure to be here. I am well, I was going to say I'm a Florida native. I was actually born in Puerto Rico, but I moved to Tallahassee when I was really young. My dad taught at Florida State. Both my parents were teachers. So she was saying how much I actually get to speak and get out in the community. And a part of that is, part of my genetics. Both my parents were teachers, and I felt like one of the best ways as a doctor I could get out information was to be able to do workshops for my clients, and that ended up where clients would invite me to go speak at their work, at their business, or at their church, and so we've consistently done at least one or two workshops a month for my own existing clients. We did one last night on sleeping smart because of the time change. A lot of my clients requested that, and so we did that. I try to do, you'll see today, I try to do as much research-based information as I possibly can. The research is changing all the time, so we try to stay up to date on that. And that's just part of my analytical nature, but it was a natural for me to get involved with Working Well. I think I've been on the board for maybe 7 years, 6 or 7 years. I've known Mary at least that long, maybe more than that. And it's just my pleasure to be here. And to share a little bit about movement and how that relates to health. And so as we go through, I love participation and communication. One of the weirdest thing is, 18 years of doing workshops. This was the first year we've ever done virtual. I've just always done them in person. So when we go and speak at the county or for the city of Tallahassee, or the state offices, we always did them in person. But the last year we've done them all virtual, and it's actually it's been a learning experience, but it's been a lot of fun. And so one of the things I do love is the chat feature, is because people can ask questions there without fear of interrupting me, or, as we go, if I say something that triggers a question, you can go ahead and type that in the chat box and not worry about, interrupting me or forgetting what you were thinking. So some people don't feel comfortable with their camera on or their microphone, but this, like I said, this would be a great way in the chat box to be able to ask questions. Amanda is my outreach coordinator. She's the one that she schedules my life. I kind of joke, my wife schedules a lot, but Amanda is my work wife, that she schedules my calendar. And so she's the one that schedules me to do events like this. And so she's actually on here as well. And so if you have any questions, you can direct message her. She also has a direct line, 591-9355. So that's area code 850-591-WELL. So 591-9355. She can answer any questions, like technical questions or anything today, to make sure you're on point if you have any questions, or any questions we have about the presentation afterwards, if you want to reach out and get in touch. So, but this is one of my favorite topics, is moving well. One of the things that I have learned is that I do like to talk about setting the intention and really kind of following through with that, because what I learned over the years is that you can have the best wishes for starting to work out or moving, but one of the things is actually setting yourself up for a win. And so I do want to start out the first maybe 10 or 15 minutes of this workshop is to talk about how would you implement a habit of working out, because I think people sometimes they set themselves up for failure. And so we're going to kind of jump into that to make sure that, because I think when our mission with Working Well is really to raise awareness, but also raise a level of activity. And actually, what I would say, like following through. That's the reason why we have the Corporate Cup Challenge. We want to plan events where people can sign up and then get involved. And I think one of the things that, that I've learned over the years, just myself personally, is, having a partner or accountability partner is huge. And so, I think that when we talk about being healthy, I know that Heather, I watched her workshop. She's a smoking cessation counselor. So, smoking is the number one cause of stroke. We know that there are tools to help people stop smoking, but Working Well is a way for us to get that information out to the community. Being slightly overweight for 5 consecutive years can increase your risk diabetes by 50%. And so there's definitely a need for this kind of information. One of the things I've been kind of disappointed about from our national media and politics is there's been a lot of talk about kind of an outside-in approach, and I would say, social distancing and masking and all those things that are out there, but very little talk about what we can do personally to improve our ability to stay healthy and well. And that's why I think Working Well has really stepped up. And these weekly video trainings are a great way to tune in. So I appreciate you first for taking the time out to be here. I think sometimes people overestimate what they can do in a year, and then they underestimate what they can get done in 10. So I think sometimes we kind of get overwhelmed. People, when I meet, I'm a practicing chiropractor and we have a wellness-based practice. And I think sometimes people kind of try to do too much at once. And so I think the best thing to do is kind of chunk things down and really have reasonable goals. Now, I would say that we do want to have these big, I call them, big, outstanding, huge goals. But I think starting with step by step is kind of the way to go. And that's one of the things we're going to start out with today is how do you do that? And then we're going to get into the movement ideas of exercise. We're going to talk about injury, repetitive strain, those kind of things that may be holding you back from being able to work out or exercise. And so I would also say this. The trajectory of where you're going is more important than where you are right now. In other words, if you look in the mirror, especially when you start working out or when you kind of think about your progress, it's your trajectory of where you're going. That's more important. So in other words, if you can walk 10 minutes today and last week you can only walk 5 minutes, that's a phenomenal trajectory, right? And so that's something that we definitely want to focus on. And I think that there's in healthcare specifically, this really goes to all aspects of life, but in very important in terms of healthcare, if what your mindset is about your health, whether that's a reactive mindset that, you don't have someone lift the hood on your car until you break down, that's a reactive sort of mindset versus a proactive mindset, which would be the changing the oil or checking the air, those kind of, checking the water in the radiator. It's kind of a thing that we can do ourselves for our car. We can delegate to someone else. But it really comes to our health. I think maybe one of the difficult things is actually taking that responsibility on personally. So I'm a big fan of not necessarily trying to go it alone. And that's why I love what we're doing with Working Well and what Mary has put together and creating a community in Facebook and online, and this kind of community where you're going to have access to experts on a week-to-week basis, and they're recorded, so you'll have access to them. But that support group and that support system is phenomenal. And so when we've done workshops at different of the state offices, I know that there are walking groups. I know with COVID, things have been interrupted because some people are working from home. But even, for me and my brother, I mean, he comes over, he drives over in the morning. We get up at 5:30 and we go for a walk / sprint workout session, but we're doing it outside. And so it's definitely, you can work out with other people and still actually do it in a very, very safe way. And so, but I think that, being proactive is the way to go. But and I think sometimes people overestimate what it takes. It's the small habits that we form that I found as a doctor are the ones that make the biggest impact in our lifetime. So it's not like, it's not like being able to run a marathon in one time and then being done with running or something like that. It's not like, it's not the one cigarette that really causes the stroke. It's the habit of that cigarette every day, or, it's not, brushing your teeth one time that's good for you, but it's the habit of that. So we're going to get into kind of habit building. This really kind of changed my life. But I do like to kind of look at an overview of health in terms of like how we take care of ourselves. And I really like to look at our bodies almost like an ecosystem. The ecosystem on the left, that pond right there, it matters what we put into that water. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we wouldn't blame the fish if, we dumped some Coca-Cola in there day after day after day, and then the fish started to get sick. we wouldn't necessarily blame the fish or the genetics of the fish. We'd really start to look at like, well, what's the water quality? If we really wanted to raise healthy animals in that pond, we'd really be careful about the water that's in there, about the food we put in, about the toxins that may be getting into that water. We have a completely different mindset than we do about our own human bodies. And so I think we got to get back to looking at ourselves as part of the ecosystem, part of this planet, because when we, if on the right side, that picture there, of course, if you threw bleach and, I would say, I'm kind of picking on soda, but soda, I actually, one of the other workshops, I think it was, oh my goodness, she's one of the wellness coordinators, and she's helping with the city. Oh my gosh, she's Christine. She was talking about, I think she was the one that did the sugar busters, and she was talking about, 160 pounds of sugar per person per year. If you were to dump a bunch of sugar into that pond, what would that do to the health of those animals? And so we kind of have to look at ourselves the same way and really look at, okay, what would we want to put into our bodies? And I think for my clients, one of the things that I coach people on, I've had over 7,000 clients up here in Tallahassee. I've worked with over 10,000 in my career. One of the things I've learned is the easiest or the best thing you should do is actually start adding good things in first before you focus on the things that you want to cut out. Because in a diet, the hardest things to do is to cut out things. And I think, one of the things I always start on with clients is always have them, add more water in. So I've got my water bottle here, fresh, full of water. And so I've learned that the more water I drink, the less other stuff I consume. Now, for some of you, soda is a trigger. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's tea. I know we're in the South and it's kind of sacrilegious to talk about tea. But, for me, it was one of those things where it's a step-by-step process, and we're going to talk about chunking it down. So for me, it was orange juice. I used to think that orange juice was really healthy for me. Then if you read the label on orange juice, there's more sugar in orange juice than there is sometimes in a soda. And so what I did was I started actually filling up my orange juice glass. I would fill up 3/4 of the way, and then I started filling the rest up with water. And then I did that for a month. And then when I didn't notice a difference, then I actually did about half of it full of water. And then I did 3/4 full of water. And then now, and then I got to where I was doing a splash of orange juice, and now I've completely cut it out. I don't even buy it anymore. I don't crave it anymore. So that was a way for me to wean off of it, and it was not painful. It was very simple. So that's something that you can do even with soda. It's something that you can do with tea. And so kind of a little tip there, but we've got to look at the body like an ecosystem. And so one thing we're going to talk about is movement. But in our office, we talk about, there's 5 pillars of health, of course, water and good nutrition, good sleep and rest, exercise and movement is a part of that. A good connection spiritually and emotionally. And then I'm a chiropractor. So of course I got to talk about the spine and nervous system. Most people think of chiropractors as bone doctors, that we work on people's bones or their spine. But the reason why I do that is because the bones protect the nerves. I mean, sure, the wrist bones are important and the ankle bones are important, but for me, the most important bones of your body are the skull that protect your brain and the bones that protect your spinal cord and nerves. So, of course, keeping those healthy. And so what else actually, when Mary's talking about me going out to businesses, one of the most popular talks we do is the posture talk, about sitting, working at a desk, and what you can do to minimize the damaging effects of sitting, because that's kind of a pandemic right now in terms of people's health as well. So let's get into it. So let's first behavior change. So for any one of us to really kind of change our behavior, I don't know why there's this blue line, right? I don't know where that's coming from, but anyway, so for any of us to change behavior, we've got to make the new thing that we're trying to put in. We're trying to actually make it obvious. We want to make it easy. We want to make it attractive, and we want to make it satisfying. So in other words, if you said, hey, I want to start working out, and if you thought that going to the gym was like torture, then it's not attractive, and you're just not going, if it seems like a punishment, you're just not going to follow through on that. It's just not something that you're going to do. Also, if it's not obvious, if it's just not in front of you, you're going to forget about it because life gets busy. So we've got to have a cue to remind us that we need to do it. It's got to be easy. The starting process has to be easy to get started. So in other words, have you ever had this, like where you said, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. Well, now I got to put on my shoes. Well, first I got to get an outfit. I got to go to the store. I got to get a good outfit. Well, I've got to find a gym. I've got to go and see if they're clean and make sure that they're following protocols. I've got to find out if they got the equipment or the classes I want, or do they have outdoor classes? I've got to get the right shoes. Then I'm not going to know anybody there. So like, and then, am I going to have a monthly fee? And, it's like all this stuff, but then, I'm just going to go there. Someone says, hey, let's go to Dairy Queen. It's like, yep, let's hop in the car. And we don't think about it because we make it easy. We just say, all we got to do is get in the car and drive there. And then, they make it for us. Right. So we've got to learn our behavior and we've got to use it to our advantage. Right. And so we've got to make that new habit easy. Okay. And then of course we got to make it satisfying. The more satisfaction you get, the better. But if you're more satisfied from sitting on the couch than you are from exercising, then you're going to sit on the couch more than you exercise. So we've got to figure out a way to put these into play for us. So there's a couple of different methods to do this. There's powerful strategies we're going to go that involve the 4 laws, so we can get in on this. So let's make that change happen. All right. So here's the first one. So the first one's called stack and start. All right. Stack and start. And so you've probably done this before, but you may not have even realized you did it. So we're going to use the old kind of reliable habit of brushing your teeth. All right. So everybody in here, you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm assuming that everybody in here brushes your teeth every day. And, and here's the deal. That's a habit that you already have. And so what stack means is we're going to stack another habit on to the habit we already have. Okay, so if you wanted to start flossing your teeth, and so it'd almost be kind of like, if you're already working out and you wanted to start stretching, then you're going to stack stretching onto the workout either before or after. But here's how stacking starts. So when you go to brush your teeth, you have like one of those little flossers sitting right there by your toothbrush. So it's got to be sitting like right there. So you go, you brush your teeth, and then what you do is you floss one tooth the first time you do it. So it's easy and it's obvious. It's right there in front of you, right? So that's a way. So you floss one tooth, that's it. And then the next day you do the same day. Now what's going to happen is you're actually it's going to start stacking or being attached to that first habit that you're already doing. And then you're going to start flossing your teeth. So you can do one tooth every day, and that'll turn into multiple as you get more comfortable with doing that. And so this uses momentum of the old habit and also uses a trigger for the new one. So I tried to find a picture of a small hill next to a big hill, but this is the best that I got. So kind of picture, like a small hill or a big hill next to a small hill. So here's the deal. The first habit of what you're doing is the hill that once you get up it and you start going down it, you have momentum to get up the next hill. Now we've got to make the next hill, the next habit that we're starting, small enough so it's easy to get up and over with the momentum we already have. That's why I said that I just want to add a small habit onto the habit we already have. So I'm talking about flossing one tooth. But if the new habit is too daunting, if it's too big, then you won't have enough momentum. If the next hill is too big, you won't have enough momentum to get it done. And that's why you need to reduce the new habit to something like this very easy, like a very easy starting ritual. So that may be, if we're talking about going to the gym, for me, my starting ritual was getting in the car. If I could get in the car and start driving, it was actually kind of ridiculous for me to turn around and go back home. You guys with me on that? If you're with me, type in the chat box or kind of give me like I'm with you or cool or like a thumbs up or something or awesome. Sweet. Thanks, Jenna. So there's got to be a starting point. It's got to be nice and easy. Or this is actually what me and my brother did. I do not like getting up at 5:30. I'm going to be totally honest with you. If I had my preference, I would work out at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like a professional student. You know, I went to FSU for 4 years, went to chiropractic school for 4 years. I got a specialty after that. So I was in school for a long time. And my favorite time to work out was 4 p.m. Like after we got out of class, I would go to the gym 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Nobody was in there. It was really easy. I had a workout partner that would meet me there at 4 o'clock. It was like clockwork. But now I have a practice. I have a phenomenal team and a beautiful, phenomenal wife, super smart, and children's 8 and 6, two boys. I can't work out in the afternoon. And then when I get home from the office, I don't want to take time away from them. So I've got to get up before they get up. And so, but here's a secret that I found. My brother and I text each other when we wake up. And then I know, okay, well, somebody else is depending on me. I can't just roll over and go back to bed. So the text for me was that starting ritual. Okay. So instead of focusing on the entire thing, like we're going to work out, I just focus on getting out of bed and getting dressed in my workout clothes. And I actually usually, sometimes I'll put them right by the bed, the nightstand, but sometimes I'll actually go ahead and get dressed the night before. So I'm already dressed, ready to go. I just put on a hoodie. You know, it was like 30 something degrees. I do not have like the willpower to do this, but because I had a accountability partner, we would literally put on like parkas and go out in the 30 degree, like 5:30 in the morning weather. And it's like I said, it's not to brag, but it's the person I've become because I had this secret. So I hope you guys are just loving this as much as I did. So the starting ritual has got to be the minimum steps it takes for you to get, to start to continue with the entire ritual without turning back. So almost all starting rituals should be about 2 minutes. So for me, it was texting. That was my starting ritual, getting dressed. If I get out the door, I mean, I'm not going to turn back. It's not like I'm going to go back to sleep when I know my brother's on the way or he's already there at the house. You know what I'm saying? So that is it. And so it's just kind of like, if let's say you're going to read a book, it's like, reading one page, just saying, hey, I'm just going to read a page before I go to sleep. Just one page. That's where we start. So we're going to use the habit stacking and the start ritual together to leverage that. So for you, if it's going to work out, if you're going to go after work, then what you want to do is put your workout clothes in the seat of the car so that when you get in, makes it obvious that, hey, I have workout clothes. I'm supposed to go to the gym. And then you drive to the gym. Just put it on autopilot. You're going to go to the gym, get to the gym, get dressed, and then boom, you're there. You're going to work out. So, the habit could be, getting to the gym, signing in. Once you're there, like I said, it's kind of silly to turn around and go back home. So those two strategies make the habit obvious and easy. And so that's the first step here. And so the next two that we want to talk about are going to be called sync and score. All right. So we want to sync together something that we love to do. And we're going to talk about that right now with something that we want to start doing. So in other words, let's just say you love Tony Robbins, which is he's a motivational coach. Maybe you love Dave Ramsey, who's a financial coach. Maybe you love a certain DJ or certain music. Well, what you do is you sync that together with going to the gym. So for me, I love all of those things. I love music, but my dad was a music professor and my mom was trained in music. I love music. So for me, I also love personal improvement. And so I have Audible. So I have Audible on my phone, which is where they read books to you. And so usually it's the author that reads the book to you. So I found out a long time ago, I love to learn, but I don't really particularly like to read, but I love when people read me the book. So what I do is I stick my headphones on, and even when me and my brother work out, we would listen to Audible. We would talk a lot of the time, but sometimes we'd actually play an Audible book, an inspirational one. One of the ones I've been listening to recently is by David Goggins called Can't Hurt Me, the only man to be a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and Air Force Tactical Special Forces guy. I mean, in his background, he had a terrible childhood, and to see how he was able to overcome it, it's inspirational. When you're doing that, when you work out, it's like I said, it's neat. I'm learning, and I'm also working out. So you want to sync it with something that you like to do. And for some people, I've heard of people actually playing video games when they're on their recumbent bike. You can take it as far as you want to. I've actually, I talked to somebody about this workshop that I was going to give, and he said, "Oh yeah, having like a favorite protein bar that you only buy when you go to your gym. Like I know that the gym the gym, sometimes I have that glass case at the front, or like a protein cookie or something like that. You could use that as a strategy as well. And then keeping score. So here's the thing: we all like to win, but if you don't keep score, like in a game, like when you're playing basketball, like I said, I have small children, and we tell them like winning isn't everything, but it's fun to keep score. Like when we play, we play Monopoly and we play Sorry, which is can get kind of stressful games, but I'm trying to teach my kids that like winning is fun, but we either win, we win or we learn, right? So we don't lose, we always learn something. But here's the deal: I feel like innately we got to keep score. So if it's like having a calendar where you put up a star on the calendar that hey, I worked out today. You can do it on my watch. My Apple Watch keeps track of it and gives me awards. It tells me when I'm on track. It tells me that I've worked out 5 days in a row or 6 days in a row. I've exceeded my move goal, or tells me I need to work out more. I only got like 20 minutes in. I need to get 30 minutes in. So keeping score, however you want to do that, we've got to do that in order for us to have a win. And the calendar is a visual proof that you are the kind of person that's following through and that you care about your health. I think it's a scorecard, and each check mark is a point for the type of person that you want to be. Okay. And so each time you write a page, you're an author. Each time you do a workout, you're an athlete. Okay. Each time you practice the violin, even if it's for a minute, you're on your way, you're a musician. So you got to keep track somewhere. Your iPhone, you're on an app, on a calendar, on a notebook. You've got to see the pattern of behavior that proves to yourself that you're becoming the type of person you dreamed of becoming. And that pride and satisfaction for earning a point will be something that will give you enough motivation that will add to your experience and keep you going. So by doing those things, now we're going to get into some of the movement topic that we had planned for today, but doing those 4 things: stack and start, sync and score, that culminates into a habit that, if that's exercise, it's got to be obvious, okay, and easy that you could get it started. So for me, it was walking in the neighborhood. That was obvious and easy. And getting the text and just being able to go outside and being able to walk. No special gym equipment needed. And being able to go to work out. Now, for some of you, it's going to be getting in the car, just getting and heading to the gym that you want to go to. We're going to talk about choices for that, like what workouts look like and what really exercise could be for you. But after you start doing that, you make it obvious and easy, and you make it attractive and satisfying. In a few months, the once kind of weird habit will now become who you are. And it's almost like a name tag that says, if I'm working out for a month or two now, like that's who I am. Oh, I'm I'm a Titus person, or I'm a CrossFitter, or I'm a burn person, or I'm a momentum, a Gold's Gym, whatever gym you go to and you identify with that, that's where the rubber meets the road, and where you really have created that it's part of your identity. It's hard to get someone who works out every day to stop going to the gym than it is to start working out. So your body craves health. And so, but sometimes our body, that when you start the habit, it's very strange, but the more water you drink, the more you're going to crave it. So that's why I say adding in good stuff first is always a solution. With those things that I was talking about that I work with my clients, adding water in and adding movement in is the most important. And here's the thing: every time you follow through, it's a vote for the person you want to be. And by the way, when we're talking about voting, it's a democracy. So we don't need 100% of the votes to win. So what that means is you've just got to make progress and more than 50% of the time make the choices you want to make. Now, here's important. I want to say this. You've got to avoid the second mistake. I hope I got everybody's attention on this. You've got to avoid the second mistake. Now, watch this. I have skipped a day of working out. Now, whether that was because, somebody had a tummy ache or somebody like, some things are going to come up where you get interrupted. But the second mistake means if I don't work out 2 days in a row, that's unacceptable. So we've got to avoid the second mistake. Everybody can have an off day, everybody can have a bad day, but that should fire you up to make sure you don't miss again. Okay, so we've got to avoid the second mistake. All right, so let's get into some of the movement topics. So here's the thing. I would say kind of like a naturalist. I believe in functional movement patterns in terms of the gym. I don't want to get too complicated with this in terms of like types of workouts, but let's go kind of general here. Like this is a gymnasium. When people talk about going to the gym, let's kind of go old school. Gym is actually short for gymnasium. And so here's the deal. Like when you were a kid and you went to the gymnasium, you weren't actually doing like bench press and stuff like that. Like I wasn't when I was a kid. I went to Florida High. We had a gymnasium. Now, so we had like ropes to climb. We had stuff to like bars. We had, we would do run, sprint. We would do push-ups. We would do body weight stuff like calisthenics and jumping jacks. We would play games. We played dodgeball. We played basketball. We play flag football. So, that is what gymnasiums were. And I think that is the purest form of exercise. Exercise is, to me, I can understand why people would want to go and work out machines, because it's kind of like you don't have to think about anything. You just go in and do the machines. And I think that's it might be a good way to start. But I think that, the more you can get into like functional movement patterns. So, and here's the cool thing is you can do it at a boot camp, where you do a group training like that. I know that there's some that work out outside. If you're concerned about working out inside, you could do personal training where you're one-on-one, because I think that form is super important. We're going to talk about that as one of the reasons why people get injured. But I think sometimes people get too overzealous and they jump in too fast. I think that watching how you do things is very important, especially in the beginning, because you're setting up patterns for movement. But squats and lunges and push-ups and sit-ups and jumping jacks and jumping and all of those things and pull-ups and all those things are important, and they're very simple and easy to do. It's something that you don't have to have special gym equipment, but getting in a sports league or dancing is going to be kind of tough right now with some of the restrictions, but like even if you danced at home, but as long, like I said, it's got to be something that you can stick to. There's even walking groups, and if you don't have a walking group, I've learned that people even will set up a walking group at their place of business. I know a few of the state offices during lunch, there'd be somebody who was a coordinator, and they would say, "Hey, we're all going to go for a walk. It's a 10-minute walk." And 10 minutes, I think, is the key. Even if you just say it's a 5-minute walk or a 10-minute walk, getting outside, getting the sun exposure to your eyes. We talked about that last night. We talked about circadian rhythm in our Sleep Smart workshop. But getting the sun in your eyes is a huge benefit. And even if it's just for 10 minutes. And I would say coordinating that. If you don't have that, then coordinate it. Say, hey, we're all going to go out and go for a walk. But even chunking this down, if that's not where you're at yet, then I would say set an alarm on your watch and tell yourself you're going to get up every hour out of your chair, and you're going to get up and you're going to move continuously for 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes, you're going to move your neck side to side, front to back, turn. You're going to open up your shoulders. You're going to go up and back. Basic movements. The low back, you're going to bend side to side. You're going to get up out of your chair. bend side to side, front to back, turn, turn. You're going to do that with your ankles. You're going to do that with your knees. There's a study that I found that if you don't move a joint for a week, it grows scar tissue. That study is the reason why they stopped doing bed rest at the hospital. You know, like people have like heart surgery and they're on their feet a day after the surgery, right? Because sitting or laying down for too long degenerates and ages the body and the spine very, very quickly. It used to be the number one profession for low back problems was truck drivers because they sat for 8, 9, 10 hours at a time. What we found now is it's really professionals that work at a computer now. They've taken the number one spot because they are sitting for extended hours without moving. So you got it. So if you want to start somewhere, you can even program your watch to buzz you once an hour to remind you to get up and move. I would say that sometimes people build this up in their brain that they've got to like yoga stretch or something for an hour. I will say this. It's more important to brush your teeth for 2 minutes every day than it is if you just brush your teeth one time for an hour at the end of the month. Is that gross? Let me know if that's gross. Who would just be willing to brush your teeth one time for 60 minutes at the end of the month? That's gross, right? 2 minutes every day, very gross. Thank you, Jack. I got some people that learn how to private message. So yes, very gross. So 2 minutes every day is better than an hour at the end of the month, right? So what about movement? Let's look at movement the same way. So 2 minutes every hour, if you can do that, you're going to get 20 minutes of movement in a 10-hour day. That's way better than let's just say stacking at the end of the month or something like that. So we want to do that on an ongoing basis, and even just hourly movement, range of motion. And it's great for functional movement, but accountability is where it's at. I mean, if you can get a partner or someone that you guys are doing this together, if you do it at work and you put up a calendar, I think that's what Mary Barley is, a gem. She is a treasure for the Leon County, community, because what she does for Working Well, but also the Leon County, she sets up these games and initiatives for Leon County employees so that they can gamify things and they can track it and they can have fun with it. I think every office should do that. And if your HR doesn't do that, have them plug into Working Well to learn how to do that kind of program. That's the reason why Mary Barley helped found Working Well. And that's the reason why she's so passionate about what she does with Working Well. And it's the reason why we volunteer our time. So, oh, I have some people that are reaching out and asking for a list. So the 4 steps with stack and the link with stack and start, sync and score. The cool thing with today is this is being recorded and it's going to be posted on the Working Well University. So if you go to Working Well and you can Google Working Well Tallahassee, I believe we're workingwell.org. Amanda or Mary, if you can put the
I'll put the link in there right now.
Perfect. Put the link in, and that way, and also follow us on Facebook, because that's where the announcements are. That's where I get the announcements for the talks, and they'll let you know when the next one's going to be. I actually have an announcement at the end of my slideshow here, so you can put it in your calendar. I think Pam Chamberlain is giving the next one, but I've got it here at the end. At the workshop, but plug into the Working Well University. And if you want that summary, you can always go back and rewind this and actually watch it again, and it's complimentary. We're doing this as a service for Working Well as a nonprofit. So you've got a lot of experts that are volunteering their time to do these, and we're recording them, and they're complimentary. So you can go back and rewatch them. James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits. And I'm just going to give him props because that's where I got a lot of that habit forming, habit changing information. And so that, by the way, I listened to his Audible. It's actually part of one of the books that I really in 2020 changed my life for the better. And some of the things I accidentally did, but what I've learned is the more intentional you can be about your life and doing things on purpose, the more you're going to win. And so you can accidentally stop smoking, but I tell you what, you can intentionally, if you're intentional about it, you could set yourself up to have a better chance for winning. That's where it's at. Doesn't mean you're going to win every time. Nobody's perfect. but we've got to set ourselves up for the better chance. Here's the link. Awesome. So Mary's putting that link into the chat box there. And when it's up, I'll read that to you as well. But we'll put it up on our Facebook as well for you to do that. So let's get into injury prevention because we only have like a few more minutes, and I do want to take some questions as we, at the end here. So injury prevention. So we're going to cover a few different things. So motor control, scar tissue, soft tissue formation, joint fixation or subluxation. So we're going to go through these each one at a time. So motor control, all organisms that have a nervous system that regulates movement. So that's, our bodies have a nervous system, and the function of the nervous system, it controls and coordinates all function and healing in the body. So the brain, the spinal cord, and nerves, the number one job is to control and coordinate function and healing of the body. So what that means is the brain and nervous system control the function of your muscles. So for you to be able to coordinate a movement, for you to be able to hit a golf ball. By the way, my FSU women's team is number one in the country. We won yesterday, our second consecutive tournament. It's one of I take care of the golf team at FSU. I love taking care of them, and they're number one in the country. Boys, I think, they're in the top three, depending on what poll you look at. But really proud of them. But athletes call it muscle memory. If you ever learn how to hit a ball or throw a ball, athletes call it muscle memory, but that's only half of the story. It's actually neuromuscular control. The nerve learns the movement and controls the muscle. And so it's control of function of the muscle that comes through the nervous system, okay? And that's how our bodies learn. Just like how you learn 2 + 2, our bodies have to learn how to move. That's how a toddler learns how to walk. And so, and we do that through repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill. But also, we've got to make sure we're doing it right. So practice doesn't make perfect. We've got to have good form, repetitive, good form to make sure we're moving correctly. Now, this is where a personal trainer or someone who is watching you perform. I know Mary Barley's background in the gym world and in personal training, and she's a fitness expert. That's where her expertise in watching people and making sure that they're doing the right movement. Or if you're working out, I'm sure she'd agree with me, the benefits of actually doing it in front of a mirror and watching what you're doing is huge. And so I'm a big fan of personal training or group personal training. Makes things very affordable. But even if you're at home working out, if you can find a mirror or something, I also recommend when I give clients range of motion stuff, I tell them like, hey, start in the bathroom mirror, and when you're looking, that way you can track your progress. But motor control comes from the nervous system, and it's a repetitive movement that we focus on form rather than strength in the beginning. Because what athletes find that if you build a good base of movement, then you can build from that. But if your base movement is off, in other words, if you don't have good balance or strength of that balance with your spine and core, there's no way you can swing a golf club 150 miles an hour, 160 or 170 miles an hour, like these professionals are doing. There's no way, or 100, they're swinging 110, 120 with a ball speed of 170, 180, which means their hands and everything are moving really fast to be able to hit that small golf ball straight. And so we work with professional athletes in my office. We are actually a USA volleyball. We're certified to work with USA Olympic athletes. And one of our athletes is going to be in the Olympics this year. But what I know that working with them, they appreciate. Now, it's not easy to get an athlete, a world-class athlete, to start with the basics, but they understand the process, and that's what they do. Even someone like Tiger Woods is learning how to, after his, he's had 5 back surgeries and 3 knee surgeries. Every time you got a breakdown of the body from an impact or an injury or a layoff or you haven't been working out, you've got to start from the beginning. So I can't stress this enough. Motor control is where you want to start. Now, the next thing would be scar tissue that happens after an injury. So this is injury repair. So maybe you sprained an ankle, you hurt your shoulder, or for some of you, you've been sitting in a chair for so long that your hamstrings have tightened. Imagine your legs are bent for 8 hours a day, where the hamstrings is in a contracted position, and then you wonder why your hamstrings are so tight. So I picked out this nice picture of her stretching her hamstrings because that's probably one of the number one areas that becomes tight on people, because literally their legs are bent. Picture your hamstring bent for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. So it's a really good one for you to get up and move that. But for scar tissue, soft tissue, injury repair, stretching, I think, is the number one way to work through that. Of course, you can get stretching programs. One of the things that I like to promote for me and my clients, we actually have a physical therapy program where we can actually prescribe them physical therapy. But something that you could actually just type. I'm trying to type the message in. Let me tell everyone. Something called Fit Deck is kind of a cool product, and it's a deck of cards, and you can get it off of I think you can get you can get off of Amazon, but it's like a deck of cards where you could actually get stretching, different stretches to do, and kind of the cards kind of make it random, which is kind of fun. So you could just draw a card, say, oh, I'm going to stretch my shoulders or something like that, and you just promise yourself, hey, I'm just going to do like 4 or 5 at lunch or something like that, and you can go through the deck. Starting with stretching, which for some people sounds basic, or range of motion stuff, that's great. I'm a big fan of like foam rolling. That would be like a higher level stretching, where you get like a foam roller to be able to stretch through problems like that. And typically, like, muscle problems respond really well to stretching. They really do. Of course, everybody likes a good massage and that sort of thing, but even just stretching in general, I don't think we stretch enough to get things moving around. And then, of course, as a chiropractor, what we look at all day long, this is the number one thing that we help people with, is joint fixation, which means the joints get stuck. Joints are made to move. Our bodies are a bunch of like door hinges. There's 24 movable bones in our spine. They're all designed to move. And what happens is, either from being sedentary, from sitting too much, the joints get stuck, or from an injury, a car accident or something like that, the neck gets jammed, or a basketball injury, or playing or something. When the spine gets jammed, what happens is the cartilage in between the bones. So in between every bone is this cartilage right here. And that cartilage is about 80% water. That's the reason why I encourage my clients to drink a ton of water, is because that cartilage right there is 80% water. It's like a wet sponge. Now, cartilage is important everywhere, but it's very important in the spine, because that cartilage creates a space for the nerve to be able to give that, remember, that strength and energy that comes from the nerve. This nerve goes to muscles and organs to give them strength and energy. We want to keep that nerve as healthy as possible, which means we need to keep the cartilage as healthy as possible. So it's the reason why I encourage people to drink a lot of water. Okay. The formula for water is 50% of your body weight in ounces of water. Okay. 50% of your body weight. So in other words, if you weigh 180 pounds, 50% of that, half of that is 90. And so that would be 90 ounces a day. Now, this for me is 25 ounces. If I have 4 of these, I have more than enough for the day. It's really easy to do once you get started, but you got to have a goal. So this is my goal, to drink 4 of these a day. So, but this is why right here. What I've learned is, if you've got cartilage, you can have a full life. I've got a client that's playing tennis twice a week in her 80s. Okay. I want that to be me. I want that to be you. The only way you can get there is you've got to keep moving. These antique cars that are 50, 60, 70 years old, you got to keep them moving. The worst thing for a car is not driving it. Okay. They get seized up, they get locked up. We are the same way. We've got to keep our spines and body moving. And most people think, oh, it's not a big deal, I get out on the weekends. No, if you sit for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, I don't care. I've had people tell me oh, I get up and down all day long. I go to the printer. Yeah, but getting up to go to the printer, that doesn't move your neck side to side like this, right? So we've got to be intentional about movement. We've got to keep movement in here. Because what happens if the bones get stuck or they get jammed, the cartilage in between the bone dries out and shrinks and creates less and less room for the nerve. This is kind of a picture of what that, that looks like. The cartilage shrinks in through there, which creates less and less room for the nerve. It pinches the nerve. Most people don't realize that they have a pinched nerve until it's too late. Like, in other words, they already need surgery or something. By the time someone has a pinched nerve where they're getting weakness of their leg, or let's say they're losing the strength in their hand because of a nerve being pinched in their neck, sometimes there's things that we can do to prevent a surgery, but we always, in a preventative, proactive lifestyle, we always want to catch these problems upstream. So I always let people know, if you're getting numbness and tingling, if it's coming and going, that's like the light bulb flickering. That's telling you of a problem. That's something that needs to be checked out. If you're getting a pain that comes and goes, or if you're getting like headaches, that's a warning sign that something needs to be checked there. So the number one thing you can do is keep the spine moving. Okay. Once it's stuck, that's what chiropractors do. That's what we do in our office. We unlock the spine. That's exactly, we spend an hour with a client on the first visit to do a checkup where we check the spine and the nervous system, the wrists, the shoulders, the ankles, and the hips, to find out what's stuck, what's not moving, to get it unlocked. Because joints that are stuck affect the cartilage and nerve. So we want to make sure that we have a habit of getting up and moving as much as possible. If you see a chiropractor, I think that's fantastic. I mean, that's one of the tools that we recommend to keep the spine healthy and keep it moving. So just an example of x-rays. This is a teenage boy. His dad actually has been a client for years. He's been a client for years, not teenage anymore, but this is years ago. This is 4 years ago. But he gave me permission to show you this. This is a kid who's playing basketball. The x-ray on the left, you can see how he's trying to look up, but his neck isn't moving at all. If you see his neck is almost like a straight line. It's the bones are locked up. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see my cursor along there on that left side, but the bones are straight up and down. If you look at the middle of his neck, the spacing in between the bones right there, how small the spacing is right there between 5 and 6. That cartilage was already dehydrating at this young of an age because he went up for a rebound. He got his neck jammed by someone's elbow on the top of his head. And so his dad knew well enough to say, hey, let's go and get you checked. I knew something was off. And so we said, you know what, let's take some x-rays. The x-ray on the right is 2 weeks of adjustments. And look how much his neck released. And you can even see the cartilage space opening up between 5 and 6. It's unbelievable. This is one of the reasons why we get referrals from primary care physicians, because we can identify these problems on x-rays and then we can fix them. So people love that. The doctors, the MDs we see, they love that because you can see it objectively, like on an x-ray. But this is the kind of problem that you can fix. Now, if this person hadn't been checked, I mean, I don't know where they would have ended up. But so that's one of the reasons why we do recommend people to get checkups, get a checkup and find out what's going on. But this is a particular example of an injury. But when we talk about sedentary lifestyle, the best way to prevent spinal problems is to never develop them in the first place. And so we've got to keep our bodies moving on a day-to-day basis. So I'm going to go ahead and we've just got a couple of minutes left. So I do want to take questions. This March 31st is next week. I believe it's Wednesday at noon. So this is going to be the next workshop. It's going to be using lifestyle medicine to support your healthy weight for life. And so that's going to be next week. And so you can register for that on the link that Mary Barley provided, or you can, like I said, you can go to the Working Well website to register for that. And so I just want to thank you guys for being here. It was a lot of fun for me to write this and to present it today. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself now, or you could type it in the chat box. If you have a question about something that we talked about today and you want to ask me in private, you can email me at frontdesk@smithfamilychiro.net, or you can call Amanda at 850-591-WELL, and I can jump on the phone with you and we can do that in private. Or if you have a question, like I said, that you don't mind sharing publicly, you can do that as well. People ask me all the time, but someone just asked me through the chat if we can prevent surgeries or we can work with someone who's already had surgery. Yes. It just depends on how much, if there's a fusion or if you've had cartilage damage, like how significant the pinched nerve is. That's just done on a case-by-case basis, but absolutely. And that would be something, if you have a question like that, I can jump on the phone with you, kind of as just like a private thing on the phone we can do. So, okay. Jana, let's see. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. Jana, did you have a question? I think okay, you see. Okay, perfect. All right. And awesome. Chris, awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Very good. All right, Jana, good to see you. Anna, thank you for participating too. You as well, Emma. Appreciate you getting in there. Fran, good to see you. Awesome. Mary, I know that you wanted to did you want to make an announcement here?
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Patrick. You always just bring such great information to us in such an engaging way. And I know the whole community appreciates that you care enough about us to take your time to get out there and educate us. And we thank you for this time today. And again, I want to thank everybody that's on the call. Let you know how much we care, that you care enough to want to try to improve your well-being. And we hope you'll join us for the other. I think we're at about 6 now. I think we're almost halfway through. So we still got some really good ones to go. Again, if you missed any of them, they're on that link that I just sent. And all of them will be up there by the time we finish. Patrick's probably won't get posted until later this afternoon or tomorrow. But be sure and share them. You can send the link to people that you think might be interested and share them too. So thanks to everybody. Hope you have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you back next Wednesday.
Awesome. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. Bye-bye.